Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Today's question comes from Victoria in Kansas. Victoria asks, my son is 21 and has been living with his girlfriend since they graduated high school. She's taken over his life and money to the point that he has cut off contact with me 3 times. She grew up, already she stepped in it. She grew up with limited means, and I was a single parent but did well financially. I showed him how to save money and be frugal. I raised him to earn the things he wanted. Before cutting off contact with me this time, he said that they have leased brand new matching cars, and he now has credit cards to build credit. At this time, if anything were to happen to me, I would not feel comfortable leaving him any of my assets. This girl has driven a wedge between us, and I don't want her to have a single red cent of my hard-earned money. I fear he will give her everything. Any advice on how to get him to come home? And if he doesn't, should I go ahead and remove him from my will?
Oof.
Yeesh. All right, so a couple of things here. Dave's talked about this pretty eloquently, and I won't be as eloquent, but when your son's 21 and he moves out, you are now in the influence business, not in the dictation business, in the dictator business. When you have a 16-year-old in your house, you can kind of say, here's what you're going to do, right? When they're 21 and they've moved in with a romantic partner and they're out, they don't have to do what you say. So, Victoria, you worked really hard. Single mom, you busted your butt. You want to make sure they learn some lessons, some real important stuff. It's heartbreaking to watch your son living a life that you worked so hard for him to not live. I get it. It's heartbreaking. You have some hard choices to make. So, you got to grieve it. You had this picture of how it was all going to work out. He was going to marry someone who's amazing. Y'all are going to be close. That picture is not reality right now. Number 2, I say this with all due respect, your best bet is to become someone who is likable. And what I mean by that is if every time you're with him, you're lecturing him, if every time you call him or talk to him, he knows you hate his girlfriend and you want to make sure nobody wants to be around that person. If he knows, I know where my mom stands on these issues. We don't share values, but my mom loves me. And I feel, after being around my mom, then you've got a better chance at influencing. And that's not, being likable doesn't mean I'm going to sign up for everything he's interested in. I'm not going to say, oh, sure, to all of his crazy ideas. But he knows I love him, and I'm not going to lecture him every time. I'm going to hug him, right? So that's number 2. Number 3, here's a hard thing, man. If you don't want to give him your money, don't give him your money. If he is living a life and is expressing his life with values you don't agree with, then don't give him your money. Don't not give him his money because you hate his girlfriend, right? That's a weird, I guess here his girlfriend is going to spend it doing dumb things, and I get that. But I think, Victoria, this is worth having a conversation. And if I'm a parent, here's how I would start it. I have divided us up over issues, and I'm sorry. You know how I feel about moving with your girlfriend. You know how I feel about leasing cars. You know that. You're my son, and I love you to the end of time. I've got some pretty hard and fast rules around my money, and I'm making my will. Before I just leave it all to you, you got to know I feel like I'm enabling these behavior if I give you this money. You got to have that hard conversation. Don't leave it to the executive of your will to have the hard conversation for you. That conversation is going to be had.
Break it to him 30 years from now.
Yeah,
hey, by the way, you get nothing, son.
You get nothing because you moved in with your girlfriend when you're 21. Don't do that. Have the courage to have the hard conversation. You're the parent. But this is about influence now. This is about love and connection. It's not about, I'm going to tell him, because he's 21. He's out. He's no longer living by your rules and in your home. And that's so hard for a parent, George. You and I both have young kids. I can't imagine that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's tough.
And the other thing is, I hope this is a season. I mean, he's 21. At 18 when you're dating a girl, it's very different than at 25 or 35 when your prefrontal cortex is fully developed.
Yeah,
so
you know what I knew at 21? I knew everything. And there's that great, I'll screw it up, that old great Mark Twain quote. When my dad was 14, he was the dumbest man who ever lived. And when I talked to him again when I was 21, I was stunned at how much my dad had learned in 7 years, right? Like that's true. At 21, you're a moron. So here's the thing. The chances of this relationship not working out, strong to quite strong. And if you have burned the bridge, he knows you are not a safe place for him to come home to. Not that you're going to agree with everything. You're not a safe place for him to come home to. He won't. He'll go somewhere else. He'll go into the arms of some other goofball, or he'll run to a house full of knuckleheaded men that, whatever. Let him know, come hell or high water, you're my son and I love you. Always, and you can always come home. She can't come with you. I don't like her. You can always come home.
I'm reminded of the prodigal son. I can't help but think about that parable.
Yeah.
And there was no caveats where he went, well, if you lease a car, you're not coming back here, son. Don't even think about it. There'll be no feast for you.
I'll meet you in the street because I'm so excited to see you.
Exactly. And so I obviously the analogy breaks down pretty quickly here.
Yeah.
But I still think there's an element of that just open-handed love and connection. Don't make it about the financial matters. Make it about the love and the relationship. Because if you make it transactional and go, well, you're only going to get this in the will if you don't lease a car, the relationship's over.
Right.
If I sign
because
up for
you've
that,
made it transactional.
You've
I
made
will
it
exert my
transactional.
power over you even after I'm dead. Well, then cool. Keep your money. I'm going to move on with my
and
life.
if I sign a piece of paper that says, I get XYZ when you pass away, well, our relationship is largely over.
Yeah.
That's what it's based on.
If it is, I'm your mom till the end of time. And hey, I can't, you know me well enough, I can't put money in that account if that's how you're choosing to live. You know that. I know that. And that's a different conversation there.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.